want to dedicate our learning today on Yom HaShoah, Chav Zayin Nisan Tafshin Pei, Le'ilui Nishmat, the Kedusha HaShoah, those who were lost to us, and on one level, another level, of course, from the perspective of the neshama, they're still with us. We're going to learn today something that I think is, as it works out, germane to the loss of the 6 million, and also to thinking about the moment that we're up to in the world today, but also how this impacts our Siddur. I'm going to ask you, I'll pause for a minute. If you can go get a Siddur, you actually need a Siddur today, so you can flip the page to see the structure of what it is that we're going to be talking about. And the section today is called the Kedusha DSidra. You know it as Letzion Goel. And what I want to do today is I want to show you something in the structure of the Siddur. But first, just to orient you where we are in this this ongoing series. And if you're just joining us the first time, totally fine. You'll be able to catch on very, very quickly. We have just under 30 minutes now to try to parse a prayer. We try to do this each time in a 30-minute session. What we were up to in this multi-year project was we were actually up to the section of Kriyat HaTorah. I actually leapfrogged it because now that we're not in shul, I want to do that, God willing, to come back to shul, so we can see that more in depth, and there actually is Kriyat HaTorah. We had studied intensively from the beginning of Shacharit, from the Birchot HaTorah and Adon Olam, and the Birchot HaShachar, the section of Korbanot, Psukei Zimra for Shabbos, Davka, because it's extra. We learned about the different tefillot, each different tefillah. We learned about the Birchot Kriyat Shema and the Shema. We went through the Amida that took us about a year to get through, studying everything about the Amida as we went. And after that, we did learn about Tachanun. If it's okay, I'm just going to mute everybody, but you can unmute yourself if you want to speak. It's not meant to be just a lecture. It could be it's a class, so you can feel free to weigh in and offer commentary. But let me just finish the summary here. We did Tachanun, what they call long Tachanun. We sometimes call long Tachanun Mondays and Thursdays. We did all of that, and then we came to Purim, and then right after that, well, you know what happened. So I veered off course and did several sessions about different chapters of Tehillim that are germane for this period of time. One of those chapters of Tehillim, so we did actually 3 chapters of Tehillim over 4 sessions. We did a chapter of Tehillim, chapter 142. We did 2 sessions together on chapter 121. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. And we did 1 session on chapter 20. And the reason why I bring that up now, and I gave you the whole summary, is because of the structure that I want to show you today about where Letzion fits in. Every day, sometimes in the morning, and sometimes mysteriously in the afternoon. Think about Shabbat, think about Yom Kippurim, where Letzion, or any Yom Tov for that matter, Letzion is shunted to the afternoon. Why? And what's going on with particularly the reality that I've already recited Ashrei Yoshvei Techo Adu Chasela in davening. I said it in Psukei Zimra. 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, here we go again. Ashrei Yoshvei Techo. One of the things that I've heard from many people over the years that's challenging about davening is the repetitive element of it. I just said it before, so I got it. If I concentrated, I have to do it again. Nachamu, why was it so important for the Siddur to include Ashrei a second time? Now, when we daven, let's take the weekday davening as our example. We say again the second time this Ashrei. Then we do Tehillim chapter 20. So I've done Tehillim chapter 20. We had a session on it a few weeks ago. I'm not going back to that, but that's another 30-minute session. You can go back and listen to that. I'm going to mention a couple of themes of that today. And then we recite this long prayer we call it Letzion. Chazal had another name for it, though. They called it the Kedusha DSidra. I'm going to show you on the screen now so we can learn together some aspects of the Kedusha DSidra. I'm going to start with this piece of the Gemara. It's like I don't know, I consider it almost the divine providence of of how shiurim work in general, that we should actually be up to this section on exactly this day. You could argue, of course, that it's contrived, and I'm always going to find some link, and you might be right. But it seems to dovetail very nicely. The session today is called Uva Letzion Goel. May there come a Redeemer to Zion, to Tzion. And I gave it the little title, When Tefila and Talmud Torah Dance Together Again. Let me show you what's going on. So first of all, we're looking together. Can everyone see the screen clearly? Is it good? Yes? Thumbs up? Joanne, Manny, yeah? Ira, yeah, good? Okay, I don't see anyone else's faces. Okay, good. So this is the last Mishnah in Masechet Sota. Many people, in fact, learn Masechet Sota. There are 49 dapim in Masechet Sota. They learn it for the days of Sirat HaOmer. I happen not to be doing it this year, but I have done it in the past. Okay, so this last Mishnah is about what happened with the losses of various institutions of the Jewish people. Misha Batla Sanhedrin, Batal Hashir Bebeit HaMishtaot, when the Sanhedrin was canceled, when it stopped meeting, that was the end of song in the houses of song. Most people didn't get together to have times of joy. Shinamar Bashir Lo Yishtu Yain V'Gomer. That's one. Next, Mishametu Neviim Harishonim, Batlu Urim V'Tumim. When the first prophets left the world, so that's when the Urim V'Tumim that was found in the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, that was gone. Mishachar Beit HaMikdash, when the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Batal HaShamir V'Nofet Sufim, so various other things that were canceled. The Shamir, the special worm, the Nofet Sufim means honeycombs, were canceled. The Gemara tries to explain all this. Upasko Anshe Amanah Yisrael, and authentic or people of integrity in the Jewish people were canceled. They ended. They ceased. Shenamar Ashi Hashem Ki Gamar Chasid V'Gomer. Okay. Now here's the part we came for, and this is what we're going to need because this is what the Gemara is going to comment on that we're going to learn today. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer. Hy'd Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua testified, said Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Yom Shachar Beit HaMikdash Ein Yom She'ein Bo Klala. There is no day that does not have its curse since the time of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Lo Yarad Hatal Livracha. And there is no dew that comes down truly with blessing. We just recited, we're meant to have recited, had we been in shul, the Tefila Hatal. We're in the season now of Tal. V'nital Tama Perot. The taste of fruits has gone out. Food doesn't taste as good anymore. It's over. The Mishnah goes on. I just gave you this little section in English here from Cincino, the basic idea, right? Every day has a curse. It's very dour, very negative. You have to realize also that the people who said this, these are the Tanoim who were alive right after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. They're really living in the wake of the Churban. Did they have any concept how long it would be that we'd still be waiting now? I couldn't say, but imagine what we're up to now. So we look here in the Gemara. This is the Gemara on 49a. It's highlighted here, and you should have the English underneath. Amar Rava, b'chol yom v'yom. I'm over here. I hope everyone can see. It's commenting on that piece of the Gemara from the time the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, that every day has its curse. So Rava, who lived later than these earlier Tanaim, he's already an Amora. He lives already 3rd century, 4th century of the Common Era. B'chol yom v'yom meruba kilalata mishel chaveiro. Every day has more of a curse than the previous day. Shenamar, as it says, Ba'boker tomar miyitain erev, uva-erev tomar miyitain boker. In the morning, you will say, I wish that it was the night. And at night, you'll say, I wish it was the morning. Meaning you'll be in such a state of consternation and of confusion and of tumult that you'll be saying, I just wish that we'll have, I want the next thing, whatever the next thing is going to be. So, the Gemara actually says, and this is a beautiful, what's the word? I guess the word is just sad. It's sad, but there's a certain beauty in it, I think. So the Gemara actually says, hey, boker, which morning are you talking about? Ilema boker de lamachar, if you think that maybe it refers to tomorrow. We have the beautiful, more modern song, Machar, right? It says one of the early Zionist songs, Machar, tomorrow. We're talking about tomorrow. If you think the morning is about tomorrow, mi yada mai have. Does anybody know what tomorrow will bring? And at a time of uncertainty, when you say, I'm hoping for tomorrow, it's hard to say the words, I'm hoping for tomorrow, because I don't know what's coming next. Who said it's going to be better tomorrow? So the optimist of the 20th century optimism, right? The positive psychologists would say, no, think positive. Why think negative? But you see already what Chazal were up to in the days of Rava. Again, we're now 21st century. He's centuries earlier. He's one of them, Orion. So say, who knows? Therefore, what it must be, Ela de Chalif, what it means at night that a person is saying, I wish it was the morning, means I wish it was earlier today. You fill in the blank. I wish it was earlier today because it's light outside. I wish it was earlier today because now it's even worse than it was before. That pasuk that's over here with the superscript 8 up here it's actually a pasuk from the Tochacha, from the series of curses, unfortunately, that God forbid, they're written in the Torah, it could happen to the Jewish people. But at morning, I hope it'll be night. In the night, I hope it'll be morning. And you think it's tomorrow? Who knows what tomorrow will bring? For me, this Gemara has great resonance for the time that we're in, even though I try to think positive. And many of our Rebbeim have taught us how important it is to stay positive. I spoke about that a little bit in the Shabbos HaGadol Drush and other Divrei Chizuk. So the Gemara then asks the question, if everything is so terrible, if there really is so much that is going down, that there's a sense of devolution and things are going down in a very terrible way, ve'ela, and therefore, alama mamai kamakayim. So why is the world still standing? Why does the world subsist? If all of this is so terrible, it's getting worse, progressively worse. We believe in progress, but the progress is negative. So why is the world still going, the Gemara asks. Answers the Gemara, and at the beginning you'll think it's a really weird answer. A Kedusha DSidra v'yehei shmei rabba de agadata. The two things that cause the world to continue to stand are, number one, Kedusha DSidra. Broadly, we call this uva Letzion Goel. You'll see in Cincino, it calls it the doxology. A doxology is a technical way of saying, an archaic way of saying, something that is praising Hashem. It's an expression of belief, of praising of God. The Kedusha DSidra. And Yehei Shmei Rabba, the Agadata. Agadata means the Yehei Shmei Rabba of learning. To say it differently, the Kaddish the Rabbanan, when we finish learning and someone says, okay, okay, Kaddish, yeah? And that's Al Yisrael v'Rabbanan v'Altimidei v'Altimidei Talmidei v'Komandi Oskim B'Oraita v'Komandi, right? So all of this, that's why the world keeps going. It seems like a strange answer. I want to believe it's like something much more heroic. It's the Tefila. It's beautiful, but I'm in the doldrums now, and this was telling me like, oh, it's Kedusha DSidra. That's saving the whole world. That's saving the world. It's getting worse every day. It's been getting worse for all these centuries. It seems strange. And we have a pasuk here that is marshaled to bolster it, if you will. Shenemar, as it says, Eretz afta kimo ofel tzamavet velos darim. We're in a world that is so dark, the world that is so incredibly dark that, in fact, it is a thick darkness. That's the shadow of death. There's no order. But if you can make order, hayesh darim tofia me'ofel. If you can bring some order, and the order that's being referenced here is the order of Kedusha DSidra, the order of Kaddish, so then you will be able to find some illumination, tofia me'ofel. You'll have an appearance from within the darkness. Let's learn together with Rashi. This is Rashi on the Gemara. So here we are. And we should understand what's going on here. And hopefully, if I'm successful, I have like 14 minutes left over here, to open this up so that next time you daven and you say Uva Letzion, you have different eyes with which you see it. A Kedusha DSidra. Writes Rashi. Seder Kedusha. This is the order of Kedusha. Exactly what we call Kedusha. Kadosh Kadosh, Baruch Kevod. Right? That's the order. Shelo tiknu ha'ela shehu kol Yisrael oskin b'Torah b'chol yom davar muat. It was enacted by the Chachamim so that every day the Jewish people will learn a little bit of Torah. That's why it's there. You could ask yourself, really? I said it in davening already twice. I said it in Birchot Kriyat Shema. Remember, I say in Shema, Kadosh, Kadosh. I said Baruch Kavod in Shema. And then if there's a minyan, we're not zocha to it now, but when there will be a minyan again, we'll say Kedusha, Kadosh, Kadosh, Baruch Kavod. A third time? So now people will learn a little. Explains Rashi. She'omer Kriyato v'targumo. You read a pasuk, and then you read its interpretation in Aramaic. You read its translation. Vehein ke'oskin b'Torah. And that's like you're learning. V'kevan, and since shenoeg b'chol yisrael b'talmidim uva'amei ha'aretz, since even the students and even the ignoramuses, meaning the salt of the earth, the people who don't know, are at least going to do this. V'yesh kan shtayim kedushat Hashem v'talmud haTorah chavifu. You have two things going on here. You're reciting Kedusha. That is a Kiddush Hashem. And also, what are you doing? You're learning. And that's very precious. Open in the Siddur to the page with Uval Letzion. If you're using an art scroll Siddur, a daily Siddur, you can find it on page 154. If you're using the Koren Siddur, the daily Siddur, you can find it on page 175. So now I want to show you what's going on. Skip the first paragraph for a minute. The first paragraph that starts the words Uval Letzion Goel, skip it. Here I like much more Koren than art scroll, and every Siddur is just a vehicle, right? Sometimes one vehicle is better than the other, depends what you need it for. But here, I like Koren better. I would have liked it even better had Koren put color coding for me in here. The color coding would have been the following. The Hebrew word, let's see if I think it's become mirror image. It's going to be a waste. Never mind. The words, and it is bolded, by the way, in the art scroll, not bolded in the Koren, but the different font here actually matters to me. If I would make a Siddur, I'd make either the Aramaic material in a smaller font and a different color, or I would put it in what they call, quote unquote, Rashi script. So you would remind you, like I'm learning over here, we have on the screen in front of us, Gemara Rashi. When am I learning Gemara Rashi? The typeface reminds me, this is a commentary. Says Rashi explaining the Gemara, do you know what's going on when Jews recite Kedusha DSidra? Yeah, you said Kadosh before already, twice over. Kadosh, Kadosh, etc. Kadosh, 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 twice over, and Baruch Kavod. But what are you doing over here? Here you're learning. You'll read it in Hebrew, you'll learn it a little in Aramaic. You read it in Hebrew, you translate it in Aramaic. I wouldn't do it myself, I'm not on such a stature, but I imagine when the Sanhedrin Agadol comes back, if there will be again still a Kedusha DSidra, they'll say, if you don't speak Aramaic perchance, so say that translation in English of what you just said in Hebrew. You should understand what the words themselves mean. So here in the heart of Kedusha DSidra is learning. V'chein, and also, Yehei Shmei Rabbi Mevarach, She'onin Achar Haggadah, meaning Shadarshan Doresh Berabim, B'chol Shabbat. There was a Kaddish they used to say only one time a week. What Kaddish? Kaddish the Rabbanan. We expanded it already. We say it every single time we learn. We have a minyan, say Kaddish the Rabbanan. Many times it's all the Siddur shiur. It's exactly what we did. After the learning of who? Of the Darshan. Who was the Darshan? The rabbi, the teacher, the Rosh Hashiva, whoever it is, the Rebbe. He would be Doresh in public every Shabbos. Hayunoagim kach. They would recite this Kaddish. Not the regular Kaddish, the Kaddish the Rabbanan. Why? They learned together. V'sham hayunikbatzim kol ha'am lishmoa. Lifi she'enu yom shal malacha. V'yesh kan Torah v'kiddush Hashem. On the day of Shabbos, everybody would gather to hear and to learn because they didn't have to go to work and because there was a time to get together for two things, Torah and Kiddush Hashem. That's Kedusha DSidra. It's the Kedusha that is part of the order of the davening. When we understand this, we can understand what it means that we are in the presence, when we daven this, we're in the presence of a certain new order of Tefila. And the new order of Tefila, and here we come to the crux of it, the new order of Tefila is a new davening. You know why you say Ashrei a second time? Even though it's part of Shacharit, it's the beginning of a new Tefila. We have a principle in halacha, the Gemara describes, we learned it already several times inside, just for want of time, I'll tell it to you, as they say, outside. Before a person davens, le'olam yisadar shvach of shalmakim, you have to organize some praise of Hashem before you stand before Hashem to make requests. So how is that accomplished? Rav Soloveitchik, others describe it this way in their essays. This was what the Hasidim Rishonim were doing. They would sit for, they said, sha'a achad, an hour, to prepare themselves. The Gemara says, what was that preparation? Psukei de Zimra. Before we daven, the standing before Hashem, we recite Psukei de Zimra. What is the shortest version of Psukei de Zimra? Let's say, hypothetically, you come to shul a weekday, you're crazy late, and they're almost up to Yishtabach. What do? The minimum, you have to say Psukei de Zimra, minimum. I mean, it's emergency measures. What do you say? You say, Baruch She'amar, and you say Yishtabach, those two brachas, the beginning and the end of Psukei de Zimra. What do you say in the middle? You have to say no matter what, Ashrei Yoshev Eitecha. So what do you do later on in davening when you're going to say now another davening? Ashrei Yoshev Eitecha. By the way, that's why you say Ashrei at Mincha. That's why we say Ashrei at the beginning of Slichot. That's also why we say Ashrei before we daven Musaf on Shabbos morning. Before we're going to stand for the Amida, we have to stop, pause, and say, Hashem, we're praising you. Now, why? We're organizing ourselves. In fact, the words that are used in the Gemara, Davka, Lo'olam Yesader Adam, a person should organize, should make order. This is my Shabbos Agadol Drush. You could say this like an extension of what I spoke about right before Passover, making a Seder to confront chaos. Here is the Seder every day. The Kedusha, the Sidra, the Seder of every day. We just saw in the Gemara in Sota. And here you see Rashi saying, what's the point of it? Two things. Number one, Torah. Number two, Kiddush Hashem. Now look at it with me in the structure of the following very rudimentary chart I want to show you. Here's the order of what we do in shul. I hope everyone can see this clearly. Can you see it still? Yes? Okay. There doesn't need to be this space here. It's kind of pointless, but okay. Draw it a little closer. Psukei de Zimra, to get ready. The heart of Psukei de Zimra is Ashrei. Kriyat Shema Birchotel, we have another halacha. Ein omdim lihitpalel el mitoch divrei Torah. We should not get up to daven unless in the context of having learned something. Kriyat Shema is itself a mitzvah. Rav Soloveitchik explains in a number of his essays, published in various places, in the Sefer Al Tefila, shiur written out by Rabbi Reuven Grodner, the shiur written out by Rav Menachem Genak, on called whatever it's called, Shiurei Harav. Shiur Harav on Yanei Kriyat Shema with Tefila. I have it on my shelf. I had it on Pesach. So that's all before. It's not only the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema, it's also an act of Talmud Torah. It has brachas before, brachas after, and another time we'll come to the Kedusha that's inside. We did already, the Kedusha and Birchas Kriyat Shema. What happens after that? You stand before Hashem. What's in that? When we get up before Hashem, what do? 3 parts. Number 1, praising God. Number 3, giving thanks to Hashem. Number 2, in the middle of the sandwich is what? Our needs. We stand before Hashem with a sense of crisis. What's the bridge between Birchas Kriyat Shema and Amida? The bridge between the two, Baruch Ata Hashem, Ga'al Yisrael. Next words, Hashem Sativ Tachu Fi Yagid Tilatecha. We're Somach Geula to Tefila, we connect redemption to prayer. Now watch what happens. When we study this in depth, and there's 30 minutes on it, if you're interested, go listen. But you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You just open page 152 in the Art Scroll Siddur, or turn to page 172 if you're using the Koren Siddur. We're at 173 in the Koren. How does it begin? Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara. Hashem, may God answer you on the day of distress, a day of need, a day of crisis. When you come to the end of that section, chapter 20, Hashem Hoshia, God save. Amelech Yanevim Koren, may the king answers on the day that we call. Ashrei, Amida, here called Tehillim 20. And then what comes next? Uval Letzion Goel. Now watch the order here. I want you to see it. Very interesting. You know what Tachanun's about? We talked about Tachanun again, 3-4 weeks on Tachanun. Let me summarize. It's about sin. It's about distance from Hashem. It's about churban, destruction. It's about lamenting where we are and saying in a very plaintive way, Hashem, please, can you help us get out of here? But that's not what Uval Letzion Goel is about. Uval Letzion Goel is about hope for the future. And here again, I like Koren better than Art Scroll. I'm telling you straight. Because the way Koren organized it in the Siddur, it tells you on the side, not in a footnote on the bottom, footnote number 1 in Art Scroll. In Koren, it's like right in the margin. It tells you, these are psukim about Yemot HaMashiach. These are psukim about the future. I just finished talking about my crisis in page 152 in the Art Scroll 173 in the Quran, it was Lamnat Sayach, Mizmola David Yancha Hashem B'Yom Tzara, Tilim number 20. When will you save us? Please save us. Please save us. We need you. But when it happens next, now we say it in the opposite order. What's the order? After we said, here's my crisis, can you save me? The next words out of my mouth, quoting from the Psukim and Sefer Yeshayahu, the visions of the prophet Isaiah, Yeshaya Navi of the future, Letzion, Goel, and further along, we have this little section. Look at the next section. Right after the pasuk, Letzion, Goel, Num Hashem. What's that little prayer that's in there? Hashem, if it's not going to be today, maybe it's going to be tomorrow. Machar in the positive sense. You know, we hear you saying to us that you've made a covenant with us. We hear you saying to us that that covenant is around Torah. And we hear you saying to us that the value of continuity from one generation to the next is what will carry us until that great morrow. Therefore, Letzion Goel, a redeemer will come to Tzion. Who will it come for? People will do tshuva. L'shav fesha b'Yaakov, Num Hashem, so says Hashem. And what do we throw in? Right? What is Hashem saying to us? V'ani zot briti otam amar Hashem. Ruchi asher alecha, my spirit is upon Dvar Shesam Teficha, the word that I put in your mouth, the word of that he put in whose mouth? Of the Navi? No. In our mouth. Whose mouth? Klal Yisrael's mouth. What's that? That's Torah. That's being able to recite the words of the Nevi'im. That's our capacity to be able to daven. And not just to daven for what is now and what is broken from yesterday, but also to look forward with vision, a positive vision, an optimistic vision, a hopeful vision, to make an order out of the chaos, a Kedusha, DSidra. After we've said this, what do we say? We say, let's learn. What are we going to learn? The first time I said Kedusha in my davening, I was telling the story of how angels tell the story, praise Hashem, right? Kulam Kedusha, they all say the Kedusha, right? Kulam Ahuvim, Kulam Barum, Kulam Yiborim, Kulam Osim, Ever, Tzon Kunam, Kulam Potach, PM Kedusha, they open their mouth, the angels. Kedusha of Tara, Shira Zim, Varchim, Shal, Kafar, Maitzim, Gishon, Lichem, Kol, Et Shem, Hakel, Melech Gadol, right? They're all saying the Kedusha. We're telling a story in Birchat Kriyat Shema. In the time period of the Amida, we stand with our feet together. That, according to all opinions, is the Davar Shabi Kedusha, and therefore we stand together. Why? We're emulating the angels. How? We're Amida Lifnei Hashem, feet together like angels, Regel Yeshara. We're saying the same words the angels say, but now we're saying it. But what is it in Letzion that we say it a third time? Now we're learning it. Now we're connected to it as people who learn Torah. And we understand it on a deeper level, on our level. But on a deeper level than just saying the words, now instead of just declaration, it is a point of study. And so therefore, Letzion, what is our hopeful way station while we wait for the end of the journey to come, or rather while we're maybe not on the way station, we're traveling, barreling toward that inexorable zenith of world history of the arrival of Mashiach Tzidkenu and beyond, we are engaged in Talmud Torah. And that's the Kedusha DSidra. Now look at the beautiful parallel. Tachum and Kriyat Torah, and then a half Kaddish. After we say the Kriyat Torah. What do we do after the Kedusha DSidra? We learned a little bit. We have some more Tefilot. We're going to come to them in a minute. And then we recite the Kaddish. Kiddush Hashem. Talmud Torah and Kiddush Hashem. Remember from right over here? Yesh Kan Torah, the Kiddush Hashem. Separate session for another time. I gave it already 7-8 years ago about Kaddish. Kaddish is about being Mekadosh Shem Shemayim. Not martyrdom. Declaration, saying I'm going to live my life this way. Now let's turn, with the last minute, I'm already over time, so I have about a minute and a half left. Maybe I have to already leave it for next week at this point. Well, you can look it up on your own. The rest of the prayer, Letzion Goel, the rest of it is actually about our prayer for redemption. But before we get back to our prayer for redemption, with that last paragraph, page 156, Yiratzon Fanecha, we thank Hashem for having created us as people who are connected to Torah, and that He implanted Torah within us. May He help us to open our hearts to develop a relationship with Torah, because that's our relationship with Hashem, is mediated through the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem, that He put in our mouth, meaning in our mind, that we can engage. And not only that we can engage as people who learn Torah, but as people who can project Torah into the street outside. You know why Uva Letzion's in the afternoon on Shabbos? Reason number one is because it's right after the shiur. The shiur was in the afternoon. So then you want to say Uva Letzion, and then you want to go from there. Very nice. You know why else it's in the afternoon and why it is right before Ne'ilah? Because that's the Tefila before we go out into the world. Everybody Saturday night who recites V'noam, after you say V'noam, you end the Parsha of V'noam, chapter 91. What do you say? I just said it at Mincha maybe 2 hours ago. I say it again. Because now I'm going out into the world. I've left the realm of Kedusha, and now I've gone out into the world. Uva Letzion Goel. I'm going to say at least the part. And I'm going to move out. And again, Baruch and then what's my hy'd when I finish? Instead of may it be your will that we follow your edicts in this world. We should be meritorious. We should live. We should see. We should inherit the goodness, the blessing of the time of Mashiach and Olam Haba. And then a series of psukim about those themes. My soul will sing to you. Have faith in Hashem. Right? And we finish with that pasuk. Hashem chavetz man siddur v'yator v'yadir. Hashem wanted to give us opportunities for our righteousness, i.e. to shine before Him. How do we do that? He made a Torah that is vast and is very much magnified and glorious. And therefore, that's our engagement. And what do we do after it? Kaddish, to make a Kiddush Hashem. So today we learned about the whole notion of Kedusha, DSidra, and how important it is on a daily basis. It is a miniaturized prayer service within a larger prayer service. It's the concluding prayer service because the end of it, when we finish that, we're going out into the world. And we're encountering the world, and hopefully we're bringing with us our Torah, and also our sense of hope and vision of a world that, even though it seems so often so chaotic, is actually one that has a certain sidra, a certain organization, the Kedusha, the Sidra. We add sanctity within that realm of the order, not just of the Kedusha lines themselves, but the order of all of human history as well. So that's all we have time for today. I wish everybody, to the extent one could say such a thing on Yom HaShoah, a good day, a meaningful day. And Yehiratzon that our learning today, again, was Lila Nishmat, the Kedusha, HaShoah, and Kedoshim throughout the ages who we're thinking about today. And Yehiratzon, we should be Zochim soon, the time of Mashiach Tzidkenu and Chaya Olam Haba, to greet Mashiach Tzidkenu, and eventually also to be Zochim, to see all those people again, the time of Tchiyat HaMeitim, B'meher B'meinu. Amen v'amen.